This video is brought to you by Byte, a platform where you can start, grow and manage your groups and communities online. Get one free year by signing up at byte.com and creating the first group in your city. In today's episode, we will talk about a man worth $100 billion but still haven't got a place in Forbes Billionaires List. One of the most well-known and respected industrialists in India, Sir Ratan Naval Tata, is the chairman of Tata Sons and Tata Group. At the age of 73, Tata heads one of the country's largest conglomerate, which comprise nearly 100 firms with revenues totaling about 67 billion US dollars. He is also the chairman of major Tata companies such as Tata Steel, Tata Motors, Tata Teleservices Power, Tata Consultancy Services, Tata Tea, Tata Chemicals and lots of Indian hotels companies. Tata was born on December 28, 1937 in Mumbai, in one of the richest families. His great-grandfather was Jamsedji Tata, founder of the Tata Group. As a young boy, Tata had a disturbing childhood. After his parents split, he was raised by his grandmother, Lady Navajbai, in the lap of luxury at Tata Palace. America held a special fascination for the Tata scion, and he went to Cornell University to study architecture and structural engineering. Later, he pursued a management course from Harvard University. Sir Ratan Tata revealed certain private details like how he fell in love once and almost got married. In Los Angeles after college, when he landed a job at an architect firm where he had a great time and the weather was beautiful, he had his own car and loved his job. Sometime in early 1960s, when Tata was in his mid-20s, he mentioned in one of his interviews that it was in LA that I fell in love and almost got married. But at the same time, I had made the decision to move back, at least temporarily, since I had been away from my grandmother, who wasn't keeping too well for almost 7 years. However, he later went to visit his flame, optimistically believing that the person he wanted to marry would come to India with him. But because of the 1962 Indo-China War, her parents weren't okay with her making the move anymore, and the relationship fell apart. Though he has never mentioned, perhaps that unrequited love made the 82-year-old completely immerse himself in looking after his huge business empire, and he remained a bachelor. In 1962, he joined the Tata Group and his first job involved working with Tata Steel division in Jamshedpur, where he worked with blue-collar employees, shoveling stone and working with the furnace. He was appointed the director in charge of the National Radio and Electronics Company Limited, NELCO, in 1971 and was successful in turning NELCO around. Tata later paved his way to become the chairman of Tata Industries and was instrumental in ushering in a wide array of reforms. It was under his stewardship that Tata Consultancy Services went public and Tata Motors was listed in the New York Stock Exchange, giving it more international power and recognition. He is credited with leading the Tata's successful bid for Chorus, an Anglo-Dutch steel and aluminium producer, as well as Jaguar and Land Rover brands from the Ford company. During his tenure, the company witnessed the launch of India's first truly Indian car called Indica. The car was brainchild of Tata. In 2000, Tata's food division acquired tea firm called Tetley for £17 million. In the year 2009-10, the group's revenue has grown nearly 12-folds, totaling somewhere around $67 billion. In year 2000, he was honored with a Padma Bhushan by the Government of India. He was also conferred an honorary doctorate in business administration by Ohio State University, an honorary doctorate in technology by the Asian Institute of Technology Bangkok, and an honorary doctorate in science by University of Warwick. Tata has personal fortune of 300 million pounds and owns less than 1% of the colossal group. Over two-thirds of Tata Group is owned by charitable trusts that finance good causes. Tata set a perfect example of generosity and leadership during the 26/11 attack. Unarmed, he stood all alone outside the Taj Hotel and supervised the activities to help the victims. He showcased his humane gesture by personally visiting the families of all 80 employees who were killed or injured. He left no stone unturned to provide relief to the victims and even asked the families and dependents as to what they wanted him to do.
What went through your mind on that evening? I remember you rushed to the Taj to see what was happening. What went through your mind? And it must have broken your heart to a great extent.
Well, to me, it started by one of my colleagues, Noshi Sunaula, telephoning me and he's saying that there's some shooting at the Taj. So I called the Taj and nobody replied from the switchboard. As things turned out, I was not allowed into the lobby. The police came and they pushed everybody out. And Krishna Kumar was standing on the footpath outside. I was partly there, partly home, watching on television. And it became very clear in a couple of hours that it was not a gang fight or an underworld thing. It was some form of attack by terrorists or by enemies of the state. The next morning, the government rang me to say it was all over. I, in fact, issued a TV statement that morning saying it was all over, and it was not. It went on for 3 days.
Yeah.
By that time, everyone knew what it was. It was an attack by the enemy of the state. And my take on that was that whatever happened, we were under siege in this hotel, that we would, whatever they did, we would rebuild the hotel, the city would stand up and not fall down. And there was a tremendous galvanizing of the citizens of Bombay, something that made everybody very proud of the way everybody stepped up to play a role. Nobody walked away from the situation as it stood. And you felt a great sense of pride that you were a part of this great city with citizens who were not running away from what we did.
His retirement may still be a year away, but Tata has started chalking out plans on his post-retirement. He plans to set up a design center of international standards and scale. He has led development of many innovative designs and products, and the most celebrated one is the Tata Nano. A bachelor in real life, Tata loves privacy and shuns media spotlight. He has only CDs, books, dogs for his company. This business baron drives himself to the work in an unmarkable Tata sedan. Standing tall with his contemporaries with a staggering fortune and world recognition, Ratan Tata has amazingly never featured in Forbes Billionaires List. So the question arises, why isn't Sir Ratan Tata the richest businessman of India if Tata Group is the largest and most wealthiest conglomerate of the country? And who is the richest person in the world according to Forbes? Well, everybody knows the answer could be Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, or Mark Zuckerberg. Ever thought if Forbes list is completely correct? Because after watching this video, you wouldn't trust them blindly. Surprisingly, there is a multinational company which makes a turnover which is far beyond the figures which these richest persons earn or make or have in their account And to add to that, the chairperson or owner of that company is an Indian. No, he isn't. Ambani. He is none other than Sir Ratan Tata, the owner of Tata Group of India. Tata Group is running 96 businesses, and out of which 28 companies are publicly listed on the various stock exchange. Tata Group is world's top 50 group according to market capitalization and reputation. Have you ever thought why Ratan Tata's name is not in the list of billionaires club? Why Ratan Tata is not a billionaire on the Forbes magazine list of billionaire people of the world? The reason is that Tata Group's 96 companies are held by its main company called Tata Son. And the main owner of this Tata Sons is not Ratan Tata, but a various charitable organizations developed and run by Tata Group. Out of which Sir Dorabji Tata Trust, JRD Tata Trust and Sir Ratan Tata Trust are the main 65% owners of Tata Sons, which is the key holding company of the other 96 Tata Group company, which is held by various charitable organizations. So the 65% ownership of Tata Sons Limited is not reflected on the Ratan Tata's personal finance statement, but on the various charitable organizations, and this is the reason why Ratan Tata is not in the list of billionaires club. If you put this 65% ownership of Tata Sons in Ratan Tata's own personal financial statement, then Ratan Tata's net worth can become more than $110 billion. And that's much more than Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, according to the Forbes magazine 2019. He is the chairman of Tata Group, so obviously he earns a lot of money every year as a bonus, remuneration and salary. However, Ratan Tata's net worth is not $1 billion. He is not a billionaire on paper, but in reality, he is the richest person in this world. His net worth is more than Warren Buffett, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. So how come people have so much trust on the Tata Group? Well, the good thing about the Tata Group is that they do quite a lot of charity out of their money. And that is the reason Tata Group has generated so much goodwill over the last 5 generations. Being a man who created a multi-million-dollar empire, what is the one thing we have learned from Sir Ratan Tata? Well, to answer this question, it is quite simply could be explained by a single quote by Ratan Tata. And the quote is, "I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take decisions and then make them right." So next time if somebody asks you who is the richest person in this world, you have one more name to add into your own list. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next week.